Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. My guest on today's episode is actor, director Suzanne Fleenor. Join me now as I go on the aisle for a conversation with Suzanne. Welcome, Suzanne Fleenor, my longtime friend, colleague. Thank you so much. I know this is a busy time for you.
Tom, it is terrific to talk to you. We have shared quite a history and many years of friendship. So I celebrate our getting this chance to catch up at this time.
Well, I don't even know where to begin, but let's go back to kind of where it started. And it had to have begun with our mutual late friend, Brian Fonseca. So like right off the bat, because both of us, he really changed our lives in many ways. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I would not be where I am personally or professionally without Brian's tutelage. He was a mentor to both of us. He founded the Phoenix Theater, the original Phoenix Theater in Indianapolis, downtown in a storefront that moved to the church and now to what has become the Phoenix Cultural Center. Brian was ahead of his time, a person who celebrated diverse values before many other theaters, certainly here in town, did so. And he cared for and promoted so many actors, directors, persons in creative arts of all imaginings throughout his career.
For those listening who don't know who Brian was, you did mention he was the founder of the Phoenix, but tell me, when did you first meet Brian?
It was over 40 years ago. It was at the Broadripple Playhouse, which is now defunct. I auditioned for the play the 5th of July because an actress who had been cast was pregnant and was unable to do the show. And my friend Chuck Goad, who had already been cast as the lead in the show, suggested to Brian that I might audition to replace the actress. I went in and I read for Brian and then gave him all of these excuses as to why I thought I was unable to do the show, even though I wanted to do the show. And it was this, like crazily out of control kind of dialogue. And Brian thought I was ad-libbing that to audition for the show, when in fact I was just riffing on all of my cuckoo craziness.
Well, my intro to Brian was Broadripple Playhouse as well. So that's where you and I must have first encountered each other at some random cast party or...
Well, and there were many in that time.
And, what was the name of that little dive in Broadripple? The Alley Cat.
The Alley Cat, yes.
Somewhere, I think it's still there, but that was kind of our hangout.
Oh, absolutely, it's still there.
Yeah, do you remember the Broadripple Playhouse was like right behind it was the Broadripple Canal, and we go out there waiting for our entrance to like see the ducks and whatever.
Yes, I remember one of the great stories is that there was a pharmacy on the corner, which is now a shoe store, and that the late actress Frida Coleman, I think, was in a show. It may have been True West. I don't know. Can't remember. But that she was over at the drugstore And the stage manager had to go to get her to make sure that she got on stage for her entrance.
Oh, you know, I love that little house. It was just like, how many seats? It was tiny.
Oh, I cannot remember, but it was so intimate and so perfect, so great for the time.
Quintessential Brian Fonseca, you know, and he was on
Absolutely.
stages like that. And how does it feel for you to walk in that building knowing that you were there in the very beginning? How does
You
it,
mean the building now?
yeah, the multi-million-dollar performing arts.
Yeah. You know,
When we started in the Ambassador Building
yes,
on,
9th Street.
yeah, Ninth Street, it was a repurposed, it's a apartment building. And isn't that where, in which you were in Warp, were you not?
Yeah, I was in the initial production. Yes, the
Yeah.
trilogy.
Done and oh my God, John Lamson.
John Lamson. And one of the greatest stories about and Deb Sargent Shaver, who played Sargon. One of the great stories about Warp is that, you would rehearse for one, since it was a trilogy, rehearse for the first show, and then you'd be in rehearsal for the second show while you were running the first show. And so, you were busy all the time. And on one Friday night performance, John Lamson had an upset stomach, and his character was called Chaos, and he was getting ready to give this great big speech, and then had to run off stage to throw up, and everybody thought it was a part of the show, and we had to cancel the show for the rest of the evening. And we were all like, "Yay! We don't have to run the show tonight."
That was the beginning of the mythical group of friends that you all stayed friends. You're still friends. Those
Yes.
you were
Yes.
called Lee, and you, Chuck, Gail,
Gil Steigerwald, Deb Sargent Shaver.
and you were called. They remind me. I'm blanking.
Deb Shaver refers to us as the Flounders. Goes to the Founders.
Founders, yeah. Well, yeah, when I say mythical, you guys, and you're still close friends, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I run into people all the time, and every time I do, I know about you, but I just get a warm feeling in my heart, you know? It's so cool. You were a founding member, which meant that you're a core group of you, and you actually, in my estimation, became Brian's repertory company. He used you guys a lot in his career.
Yes.
And he was a smart guy. He liked to work with people that he'd worked with previously. And, he'd get a little criticism from people. Oh, well, he precast people, blah, blah. There was a lot of that. Do you remember that?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Everybody wanted to work with Brian Fonseca.
Mhm.
I mean, gosh, and look, you fast forward to when he passed away, and he was recognized in the New York Times and NBC. I mean, the guy made a difference on the national theater scene. And do you agree as well that he single-handedly educated at least 2.5 generations of people about contemporary theater? Don't you agree with that?
That is an amazingly astute observation. And yes, I do agree. And crazily, I am directing a show now where these guys that are working on the set were in high school when they met Brian, and he graciously took their high school class backstage and gave them time and discussed, the world of theater to them. And when they met me, and I said, I was a founding member of the Phoenix Theater, and they had these amazing stories to tell me. This was just last week, and it happens to me all the time, where people like a Chris Sanders, who is the artistic director of American Lives Theater, talks to me about what an amazing influence Brian had on his life.
I like to tell Chris and people like Casey Ross and other young
Yes.
creators around town, I said, you guys, it's the biggest compliment I can give anybody when I say to them, I believe that, and I put it in print too, you are descendants of Brian Fonseca. You
Yes.
carry his spirit, you carry his courage and your
Yes.
vision,
Yes.
Your thinking is big. Brian was never one for small thinking, right?
No.
And
I
he
mean,
always used to say when he would get compliments, he says, it helps what you need to always remember to surround yourself with the best people. And he knew how to do that.
he absolutely did.
Yeah. So we could talk about Brian this whole hour. And
Yes.
I give him shout outs all the time because I couldn't even begin to tell you the ways that he impacted on my life. Tell me, you mentioned you're doing a show now. We're going to get to that, but I guess I really don't know your background. I may have known at one time, but Suzanne, go all the way back to where did you come from? How did you get here?
Well, you know what?
Indeed.
I was born in Anderson, Indiana, because there was not a hospital in Alexandria, Indiana, where my folks lived. They had met at Indiana University. He was a student body president. My mom was a cheerleader, and they met at the Indiana State Fair where IU had a booth. And then I went to school, graduated from North Central High School in Indianapolis, went on to Butler University.
Wow, you're totally homegrown. I didn't realize.
I am. And I graduated from Butler. And fun fact, I am now a member of the Butler University Alumni Board of Directors. And I am directing the SpongeBob musical there this fall. So it has been a wonderful thing to go back to the university. In the interim, after graduation, I worked for JCPenney Company. I was the corporate director of visual merchandising and display for the company. I worked for them in New York as well as in Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm. I remember the J.C. Penney part of your background career. And, I was always impressed with your level of commitment to the theater, but you also were practical and you had this solid side to you where you had this career and you managed to do them both. You didn't have to say either or. You did them both, right?
Well, I think that viewing my opportunities as a performer director here in Indianapolis, I realized that I wanted to make enough money to retire and be able to pursue theater on the level that I wanted to full time. And that was only going to be afforded to me through retirement.
You're so smart, girl.
Well,
Really?
you know what? I mean,
Your discipline is off the charts.
well, maybe late in life, certainly not early on, but I'm so very fortunate to have had so many opportunities when I retired and made the decision to move from Dallas back to Indianapolis.
That was a big deal.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be home.
No regrets?
No regrets. It's wasted time. As you get older, you realize, why regret things? I mean, certainly you feel the same way. We've spoken.
Yeah. Well, I used to be burdened because when I was younger, like we all are, the insecurity can really, you have to struggle with that. I know.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I still have the fraud syndrome. It's like, oh, wait till they find out this or that, the other, and that it was all I am an actor after all, right? So I just
Right. Well, and actors all have imposter syndrome. I know.
so yeah, that's what I meant, imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, I had a friend recently said, it's time for you to get off of that and just own it. And I said, okay.
Truly.
Give me permission, and now I can kind of do it, but it's still anyway. But those insecurities I used to worry about. Well, if I was any good, I would be in New York or Chicago. So blah blah blah. That kind of thinking. I was kind of constantly putting myself down because of my, fears. One thing that I always noticed about you, your creativity in general, what did you do for J.C. Penney's exactly? What did that job entail?
It was, I was in visual merchandising, which, I designed mannequins and store layout and created visual elements for in stores. I had great opportunities. When Ellen DeGeneres had a show, we were a sponsor, and I got to go to LA and create showcases where we gave away lots of merchandise. So I, would spend time in LA. I would be in New York and create pop-up shops in Rockefeller Center. I mean, it was a truly magical and enchanted sounding career with a lot of 75, 80-hour weeks. It was very tough.
It speaks to your talent level. You ended up working in places like, well, especially New York City, because that's where all the people who create the trends live. I mean, So you were one of those. You wouldn't have gotten there
I've been
if you weren't on that level.
Yeah. It was, what it was is that it combined both right and left brain. I learned to be quite a great project manager, as well as expanding my creativity with my career. It was not easy. And I revel in the fact that I am now able to be creative without having to do a lot of things that were very difficult.
Well, I think about all of the transferable skill factor that you were able to take what you learned from the theater into your job and vice versa. Design, sets, costumes.
Yes.
Directing. You talked about project managing, producing. It's all, I've done a lot of that myself. And I always tell people, learn as much as you can about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it fully rounds you out. And I know that we share this in the way that what you do now, you have benefited from all of the jobs that you had, from also your communications career.
Even this podcast, I tell everybody, I'm living my dream because this is where I can finally demonstrate everything that I've learned in my lifetime.
Yes. And be able to excel and revel in the experience, which you may not have been able to do when you were younger.
Well, like I said, that insecurity, was really tough to get through, but with a lot of therapy, I did.
Yeah. I understand.
And, speaking of therapy, I don't know that we've ever talked about what, but when I heard about it, yeah, it really had a big impact on me. And I don't remember, I hope I did. I don't know, but you're a cancer survivor.
I had a basketball-sized tumor removed, and I benefited from not having to have, it had cancerous cells, but I did not have to go through treatment.
Okay. So what did that experience teach you?
Oh, boy. I think that, and you have experienced this, anytime you have any sort of a health crisis, it's sort of, you shed all of the stuff in your life that is not meaningful. Mm-hmm. And you focus on, you can't take on any more information than you must focus on your health. You cannot be concerned about other people's thoughts, what's going on in the world. It's just purely you focused and your health. And that makes you realize that you can't sweat all the small stuff.
So let me ask you this. Did you remove toxic people from your life?
I think that I edited who I shared my life with.
Yeah. That's kind of what I meant. I'm reveling in the wisdom that we used to hear about when we were with the elders back in the day. And I remember rolling my eyeballs. Oh my God. I'm going to. No, but just true. It's true. And like you, I know that one of the satisfactions you must get is I'm sure that you mentor young people and that young people love to quote pick your brain or hear your experiences. I just
Well, well, you know what the crazy thing, I mentor students at Butler. I have the opportunity to teach at Butler occasionally and taught an audition class recently where I was working on Chekhov and Shakespeare monologues with students. And it is so funny. There was this wonderful kid from Kentucky, and he comes, I said, "Oh, right. And what monologue are you performing?" And he said, "I am going to play Othello." And I said, "All right." And he is a young white male with an accent, and he's going to perform the Moor. And I said, "Sir, that is a bold choice, but we're going with it."
So how are we doing with neutralizing that Kentucky accent?
Exactly. It was,
With that.
yeah, you know what? So many people, enjoy hearing about old Phoenix days, but there is a new Phoenix and it is a cultural center. And you asked me earlier what it feels like to walk in there. It's okay. It is not the same place. And
What I was talking about was like, I overthink everything, of course, always have. But it's like I'm very sentimental. But when I go in there, what it hits me when I said, I think about how lucky I was to be there in the very beginning when I was invited to Jane. She was like, Jane, she was a producer from New York. Remember her?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
And the lawyer, they were the ones who hosted a gathering of people that Brian put together, and they served cocktails and hors d'oeuvres at their beautiful home on Central. They're this big, beautiful
oh yeah, I remember.
traditional home. And we all gathered there, and Brian gave a pitch for this theater that he wanted to put together. And he gave his pitch, and he just, like in his own direct way, said, I would love for you all to help me because this is why I brought you together. And everybody said, absolutely. And that's how it started in someone's living room. And so now when I go to this multi-million-dollar building, it gives me chills thinking about Brian. And, no matter what happened, let's just discuss the elephant in the living room. But we're not have to get into all the drama. But
Nope.
the thing is that it's still Brian's mission lives on. And under Constance, she's getting it as close as anybody can to Brian's vision. When I go in there and I see Black people, I see Latinos, I see they're creating this multicultural audience that Brian always wanted, And there's Chris Saunders and Summer Socks Emily and
Yes,
now the All Black Equity Theater. All of these artists are under one roof. It just warms my heart, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That was truly, it's Brian's mission fulfilled and ongoing. And
the play choices like Chris Saunders is making and Lauren with summer performance and on and on and on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's my bug. And I like to think that a lot of theaters are taking a page from that model, bringing together groups that don't have homes and giving them an artistic home. Brian, that all came from his vision,
Yeah. Oh, yes, it did.
I don't want to get away without talking about what you're doing right now. And when this drops, you'll be in the middle of the run so people can hear it. They can still get tickets. So talk about what your current project is.
I am directing 9 to 5 the musical at Actors Theater of Indiana, which is an equity company in Carmel, Indiana. that is across the green from the Palladium in the Arts District in Carmel. With Tarkington Civic Theater, it shares a large space there, and they have a black box space on the other side of the lobby. And thrilled to be back directing there.
Have you previously worked there?
I did. The first year that I came back, I directed It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play there. And that is because I had directed one of their founding members, Cynthia Collins, in Fun Home at the Phoenix.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Fun Home.
Yes.
It was brilliant.
Yes. And she was brilliant. And she is in 9 to 5, the musical, as is her partner, Judy Fitzgerald, who is now the artistic director of Actors Theater of Indiana.
Well, I'm coming opening night, so
oh, great. I will be there.
I'll see for myself. Oh my God, two of my favorite actors, Judy.
Well, wait. There's more.
Okay.
Stuart Mill is playing Hart. Remember Stu?
Oh, well, yeah. Have you drug him out of retirement or what?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Wow.
And Devin Mathias is playing Judy, the Jane Fonda role in the movie. Abigail Storm, this young woman from Texas, is playing Dora Lee, the Dolly Parton role. She is amazing. She's amazing.
Okay.
Jacob Butler is in the show. Tim Hunt from he's won Broadway Theater Awards for playing Frankenfurter with Zach and Zach Productions.
Tim was on this podcast with.
Good. Well, Kenny Shepard, who's partners in the show. Carol Wersell is choreographing and is in the show. Pete Scarborough.
Wow.
I mean, it's
star-studded.
Yeah, it is star-studded.
Wow, that is remarkable, that casting.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I'm sure when they heard that you were directing, they all wanted to jump on board. I love it when those dynamics happen, though. That marks that, when you get to that point in your career that people want to work with you because of your track record, boy, that's got to feel good, doesn't it?
Who knows whether that's the case or whether it's totally terrific to be paid for what you do.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's that, too, But I think people would, a lot of situations, people just, they want to work with people who take it as seriously as they do and people they respect. It's just like surround yourself with greatness and it creates a willingness or desire in yourself to be as great as you can be, don't you think?
Absolutely. I hate to be cliche, but it takes a village to put a show together. And not only do we have, there is an amazing production staff and they are terrific.
I'd always love table reads if I'm in a cast with a lot of super people because it's like you sitting there.
Yeah.
In awe. It's like, oh my God.
Yes.
It's going to be so good.
Yes.
Did you get that feeling at your table read?
Yes. For me, definitely. Gosh, and they all get along fabulously. I also wanted to mention Chatty Chuchi. Did I say Jacob Butler? They're in the show, and they are.
Oh God!
I know. It's
mind-boggling.
It is just. It's a dream come true.
Oh, I can't believe that you have assembled that caliber of talent all in one space.
Well, and it's not just me. It's Judy, but it's also Darren Murrell, who is like their artistic director. They really helped with that.
So does the storyline, the plot, whatever you want to call it, the script, does it hold up? I mean, when was it first presented?
Well, 95 is the movie.
Yeah.
The comedy classic was based in 1980. And I have tried to stay as true to period 79, 80 as possible. Yes, I am. Yeah, and that is like with the props, with the costumes. Guy Clark is doing the costumes. He is fantastic.
Clark.
Guy Clark, who used to, he was at IRT. He just such a
And,
simpatico soul. He's
doing the
wonderful.
wigs? Who's doing the wigs, the hair?
Drew Bryson, aka Blair St. Clair.
There you go.
There you go. Is it dreamy or what?
Who's doing the sets and lighting?
Jay Gans has done this amazing set. He teaches at Anderson University. He has this extraordinary set. I cannot rave about him enough. Dustin Druckmann is doing the lighting design. He is fabulous. He brought his mother, he lives in Chicago. He brought his mother to rehearsal last night because he was like getting ahead on the lighting plot. So there they were on Easter, sharing in the laughs in the rehearsal room as he plots the lighting design.
Wow, what a great experience that must be.
And a big shout out to Dwayne McDivitt, who lives in New Jersey, works in New York. Crazily, he is the stage manager, and his wife, Michelle McConnell, is on the Butler board of directors with me, and she played Carlotta on Broadway in Phantom for 7 years.
Goodness, smile. Wow.
It's crazy.
Well, you must really be in nirvana.
I am loving.
Think about what we were talking about earlier. You know, you knew way back then that you wanted to do this caliber of work and you're pulling it off. Tell me about what's ahead.
Well, I'm going to take a bit of a break, and then I'm going to Butler to direct the SpongeBob musical in the fall. And the great thing, Tom, is that Emily, Christine Holloway, Summer Stock Stage, they now have a home at Butler. That is where they will produce at the Schrott their Summer Stock Stage shows.
They're not going to be a Park Tudor anymore?
No, or the Phoenix or anywhere else that they've been. They are now working out of Butler with the Schrott being their main performance space.
Next season, though, right?
Next season.
Gotcha. Wow.
But that starts this summer.
Oh, that's big news. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And Emily can give you all the details on that. It's thrilling.
I'm such a huge admirer of Emily and her work.
Oh, she's
educated 3 generations of performers, many of them were on Broadway stages. I mean,
oh, absolutely. And their season that begins this summer is really extraordinary. And we at Butler will benefit from their production of SpongeBob the Musical because they are doing it with high school students, and we are going to be able to benefit from using their set and their costume.
wow. I mean, those are partnerships are the thing, right?
Absolutely.
Partnerships make so much sense all the way around.
Yes.
The truth is that Emily knows this, you know this, anybody who is management knows that the funders, they all want artists to band together.
Yes.
Because of finances, because people are going to the
absolutely. And Summer Stock Stage benefits from having workspace at the university. And so it becomes quite copacetic. And
in your experience, I hear this all the time, but Indianapolis is regarded as very special in terms of a theater market because of the collaboration that goes on here. Less the competitiveness that people are wise. All the management knows that, we all rise together.
yes, especially in these times.
So, wow, I have not heard of that. This situation you got now with Emily and all that. So when does that open?
SpongeBob opens in late October and just runs for a couple weekends, but it will be thrilling to work with students. It is a passion of mine to work with young people.
So tell me, do you still get to New York to see shows, by the way?
Oh my gosh, all the time. I have a sister who lives in Denver who is actually retiring and moving back to Indianapolis in September. So I am thrilled about that. But I see shows all the time and, it feeds my soul.
I love Facebook posts from our colleagues and friends who go to New York, and it's so much fun to see them holding their playbills. And
You're right.
I've been doing that a long time. That's how I promote. Just hold up the playbill.
All right, of course.
But I'm dying. And I hope she doesn't leave. I'm dying to see Audra McDonald and Gypsy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
One of my favorites, all-time favorites. Favorite.
Me too.
So what do you recommend? I want to try to get there this fall.
Oh my gosh, there's so much out there. Let's see. You know what? You would need to see Good Night and Good Luck. Is it the George Clooney based on the movie about Edward R. Murrow?
Oh, wow.
Good Night. Yes, that is, huge ticket prices, but
I hear they become astronomical.
oh yeah.
Right. Really. Have you heard of Happy Ending or Miss Me?
That is the Darren Criss show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chuck and Jim saw the show and raved. They loved it.
I have a friend who's from Indianapolis, and he's one of the producers. His first time. Happy Endings and Mincemeat. So
yeah. Oh well, Mincemeat is the critics' pick in the Times. Yeah.
So there's
Operation Mincemeat.
So you teach your butler that must.
I don't teach. I just whenever they need a substitute, that's when I go.
Is Diane Timmerman still there?
Of course she is, and I love her with all my heart.
Yeah, let's give her a shout out. So she's really built a fine department, hasn't she?
She has. And the wonderful thing is...
For listeners, she is the head of the theater department. Is that correct?
Yes, she's the chair. Yeah.
Okay, and how about Rose Kleiman? Is she still around there?
I saw Rose at the Phoenix. I do not know what she is doing artistically right now.
I mean, we worked together at the Edivane. Remember?
Yes.
You worked there?
Yes, I directed Jesus Christ Superstar and A Grand Night for Singing. I think that may be the only things I've directed there.
And for our listeners, I wanted to overwhelm them with our reminiscences, but we have some damn good stories. My show. Okay, so here's the thing. You and I have a connection because you were in some of my TV shows.
Oh, yes.
My docudramas that I've... Yes. 6. You were in A Woman's Story.
Yes, I was.
You played, I believe, a recovering alcoholic.
I did.
In an A meeting or something.
Yes.
And you were in a couple things that I directed.
Yeah, always at the ready.
And, I look back on that. I was fearless and I was doing stuff, it never occurred to me that, I just did these things, but I used theater actors from.
Yes. And Mary Flick, who was a close friend of yours.
Oh, gosh. Bless her heart. I wish she would come out of retirement. Someone should grab her or put her in.
Last year, remember Cynthia Burkett?
Oh, of course.
So Cynthia Burkett and Mary and Deb came over and we had a brunch. Michelle Stafford, who helped Brian in the early days of the Phoenix, was supposed to be there, but she was unable to be there.
I will never forget Talking Heads.
Oh, my God, yes.
Oh, my God. And all of you guys...
Talking with.
Oh, my God. Now, that's something you should revive.
Yeah. Well, we're all old OLDE right now, so.
Oh, wow. So I would have loved to have been a fly on that wall.
Oh, it was fun. And Cynthia travels around in a van and then sleeps in it. And it's just fabulous to see them all again. And we're all the same people, just, have tread on us.
When you're sitting around like I do with all of my contemporaries, it's not all just about reminiscing and being sentimental. I find it very helpful to delve deep and talk seriously about aging and how it feels, to share how it feels emotionally, like struggling with the idea that you finally know what it's like when you get older and you become invisible to some people. They don't take you seriously. They yell at you as if we're all death. You're hard of hearing it.
They make fun of the font on your phone.
Oh, and I surround myself with young people. I made a point,
Mm-hmm.
Like here I have young friends, so someone can take care of me someday if I need it. Anybody listening, I tell that all the time. I have, ulterior motives for having you in my support system,
Yes.
Anyway, I find it fun. I use the age card and it works sometimes when I need something,
Yeah, play it, baby.
Well, this has been an absolute delight. We could go on and on and on.
Ditto.
There's no one happier than I was when you came back into town, because just from the standpoint of just for me, our history, but there's certain people in your life that you're the only ones who had that experience. And when you're gone, it's the end of an era and that's happening a lot in my life. I don't know about you.
Oh, yes.
Well, my mother always told me, she said, the worst thing about being old is when you lose your friends, And
I know.
have you lost many people?
Oh, yes. Many. Yeah.
But many of us went through the AIDS plague.
Yes. Lost people. I lost a lot of people then. And
Think about, let's give a shout out to those listening who remember Michael Klass. Who are some of those others that?
Alan Alderson.
Do you remember the brilliant young set designer? Oh, Troy. Do you remember Troy Long?
Yes, Troy, who worked with Ron Spencer much.
He did that. I remember that brilliant set of the Sondheim musical.
Sunday in the Park with George.
The pointillist art.
Yep, Sunday in the Park with George.
I mean, I may be repeating myself, but I had to realize that good work is done everywhere. We've had our share of first-class artists. They could have gone anywhere, but they made a choice for whatever reasons to be here. And I think that that's why we have the caliber of theater that we have, the talent here. It never ends.
No, but there are so many amazing young people coming up through the ranks that are being nurtured, who are going to continue on and create even more brilliant theater than all of us who came before.
Do you enjoy and well, we already know you're a mentor, but do you enjoy discovering young people, supporting them, and do you enjoy giving young people breaks?
Oh my gosh. I look at it that they give me a break. It's like they bring a completely new worldview into the rehearsal room, and that invigorates all of us involved.
Well, I think that I tell people all the time, that's the secret to stay youthful. You need to embrace those new voices. And
Absolutely.
I love to eavesdrop on young people, what they talk about, And they got their own language when they text. And,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I've had people on this podcast talk about why they love working in community theater because of the young people, the young artists,
Yes. Oh, yes.
And
it's thrilling. And again, they are the future.
When you talked about your cast, is it important to you as a director, as the head honcho, do you believe in it's your responsibility to create the tone? Don't you set the tone? Being respectful and treating people, as you want to be treated. Is that important to you?
Oh, of course. Yes.
You're not a tyrant. You're
No.
my way or the highway kind of.
No, I certainly worked with tyrants, learned from tyrants, but that is not my directorial style.
Yeah. Well, I knew that wasn't the case, but I wanted to hear it from you. What legacy? I mean, I got to close with this. It's a corny question, but
Okay.
there's a reason for it. What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What do you want to be remembered for?
Well, it's a great question.
Great style. I know that.
But that is, superfluous. I hope that I have.
You always have had good glasses.
Well, good. Then I'll be remembered for my eyewear, sir.
No, but seriously.
You know what? I certainly hope that the people that I love, I have loved well, and given meaning to their lives. Period.
Okay, well, Suzanne Fleenor, what a joy. And I had to have you on this. I'm trying to collect stories of a lot of people from our generation. And hopefully this will be my legacy, all these oral histories, if you will. It's important that these stories be told. With the new technology, there are all kinds of opportunities to do that. Everyone can be an oral historian, right?
Yes.
Pull out your phone and interview your friends, everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, I cannot wait to see the show. So you'll see me on the aisle.
On the aisle on opening night of 9 to 5.
Okay, how can people get tickets?
They go to ATI.org and choose your performance. And if you want to use the promotion code 9, the number 9, TO5FF, you get a 20% discount.
What are the dates and times?
We open on April the 25th. That is a Friday, 7:30 p.m. On Saturdays at 7:30 p.m., 2 p.m. on Sundays. We close May 11th. Oh, and on Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
I guess one last thing. I want to give a shout out to Actors Theater of Indiana.
Absolutely. Huzzah.
What's it like working for that organization?
I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. And it's a big show in a tiny space, but baby, we're making live theater. And that's a dream come true.
Well, you said it, sister.
Cheers. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for the time.
Have a good day and break a leg.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.